Hey, come here. Did you just get to level 60? And you have no idea what gear should you buy, wear, or equip? Well, fear not, because I got the answers for you. How's it going, everybody? Trick here. And today I want to talk about the possible armors that you can buy and loot, you know, in the game to equip as soon as you get to level 60. And you have no idea what gear should you put on because, well, you just got to level 60. And if you don't have much experience about the game, you probably won't have a good gear, right? And a lot of people go straight into, oh, let's buy the Voidbent because that's what everybody's buying and that's what everybody is wearing, and it's so easy to make, right? Let's make the Voidbent. Why not? Correct? False. You don't want to make the Voidbent because the Voidbent, it's super expensive and it's not that good. I'm gonna go over that in just a second. For starters, there are 4 different ways that you can get armor in this game. If you haven't noticed that by now, here they are. You have your drops and your chests, you know, that you get around the world, looting and killing mobs and killing bosses, that kind of thing. You know, if you go and you do your elites at Merc, if you go you do your elites at Rickwater, you will get all the loot. Well, not all the loot, but you will get a lot of gear that way. But if your watermark is not high enough, then you will spend hundreds of hours just trying to farm that piece of gear so you can finally have that piece of gear that you want, right? Because that's what the game is all about. The game, it's a farming simulator. You take all of this gear, and then out of 100 pieces, one of them might be something that you like. But if you don't have the watermark, right, at 590, then probably the piece of gear that you got, even if you have good perks and good attributes, etc., it will not be good, you know, because it's low gear score, and with low gear score you get less attributes, you get less perk powers, you get less everything, right? So people were like, farming watermark, as soon as I get to 600, as soon as I get to 60, it's gonna take me a long time if I want to get the gear. So option B, right, will be, well, go ahead and buy the PvP gear. You only need level 60, and you need level 5 in your rankings, right? Like the max level with your faction. You come here, you buy rewards, you scroll all the way down, and here you have this purple gear, right? This purple gear, it's 520, or it could be a 535. Now, you don't want to buy the 535. Why? Because, well, it gives you corruption resistance, and you don't want that, right? And it's super expensive. Plus, again, it's 535. You need so much more of the Marauder tokens, or whichever faction you're part of. So buying the 535, it's not a good way to go. First of all, you will only buy your faction gear if you just got to 60 and you want to jump right into PvP, right? That makes sense. So you want to buy that PvP gear. So we come here into the Marauders shop, and we start looking at the prices. So for example, let's say let's put that you want to go full heavy or full light. You know what? For the sake, let's use light, right? So if you want your light gear, there you go. Helmet, it will cost 600 gold and 20,000 tokens. The reason I'm talking about the tokens, it's because it's important, right? We're gonna go over that in a second, because that's money that you could potentially make. So the actual price of this light helmet is not just 600 gold. It's 600 gold plus the 20,000 Marauder tokens. And people's like, but the Marauder tokens, you know, you just get them easy. Doing PvP missions, whatnot. Yeah, it's true. You get them easy, but they steal money. You know, still money that you could potentially make out of it. And how can you make money with the tokens, you ask? Well, easy. You just go ahead, you buy the Grand Rune of Holding for 7,000 tokens and 1,500 gold. And on my server, they sell very easy for 2,200, meaning that you make a 700 gold profit just by buying this out of the faction vendor and selling it to the marketplace. So with that being said, we're gonna give 7,000 tokens, right? A 700 gold value. Basically, every 1,000 token, it's a 100 gold of value, right? 1,000 tokens, it's 100 gold of value. Now that we got that out of the way, let's start seeing at the PvP 520 gear and how much does it actually cost. So we have here the 520 helmet, which is gonna be again 600 gold and 20,000 of the tokens. Then we have the gauntlet, right? We have here the light gauntlet, which is 450 gold and 15,000 of the tokens. We look at the chest, it's gonna be 900 gold and 30,000 tokens. And then we're gonna look at the pants, which is 25,000 tokens and 750 gold. Then we're gonna look at the boots, right? Which is 10,000 tokens and 300 gold. Now, gold wise, it's not that expensive. Once we add all of that gold, we come down to 3,000 gold. And if you're like 3,000 gold, it's not that much, you know. It's basically free gear, a little bit, you know, because by the time you get 60, you have several thousands of gold that you got, you know, through doing all your missions, your quests. Just leveling up to 60 in general gives you roughly anywhere between 15 to 30,000 gold, right? So you will have plenty gold to buy all this, and maybe that's why you're looking at this and like, it's not that expensive. I have plenty gold, I'll go ahead and buy it. But it is, because the 5 pieces, right, together, that's not counting the weapons because this video is about gear. So like I said, it's 3,000 gold, but if you add all of the Marauder tokens, it adds up to 100,000 token. And what did we say that each 1,000 token was? 100 gold. So 100,000 tokens, it's 10,000 gold, right? Plus the 3,000 gold that you spend to buy the gear, that brings it down to 13,000 gold just to buy the 520 PvP set. Now, I'm not saying you're spending 13,000 gold because, you know, you're only spending 3,000, but you could potentially make 10,000 gold back, so you're wasting that money that you were able to make. So the real value of the PvP 520 gear is not 3,000, it's actually 13,000, or depending on your server, you know, the Grand Rune holding on your server, they might cost a little more than on mine, or they might cost a little less. Give or take, all I'm saying is that this thing for 13,000 gold, it is not worth it. Why? Because at 520 you only get 20 attributes, right? You see, you get the 12 focus or 8 intelligence, or if it is a, you know, a standard just one attribute, you will still have your 20 attributes there. And then also the perks, like for example, you see refreshing and resilient, they have a power of 2.5 and 4.5%. Why? Because that gear score is 520. And now if I show you my regular gear with the same refreshing stat, you right there see that it's 2.8 refreshing, and for my helmet that it has resilient, it's gonna be 4.8 resilient, meaning that the higher the gear score, the armor or the weapon is, the more attributes you're gonna get, and also the perks that it has, they also will be stronger. The gems, they will always remain at the same value. The only thing that changes about the gems is what type of gem. If you have a flawed gem, it will give you a set, you know, value. If you have a pristine gem, it will give you also a set value regardless of the gear score of the weapon. The gems, they are a separate thing from the armors, right? Now that we discussed the PvP, you know, 520 out of the faction vendor, let's move on to the next gear that you could get, right? So we covered the loot gear that you can get from the bosses and the chest if you just got to 60, but like I said, that is not good. I mean, it's something that everybody has to do. If you don't get your watermark to 590 ASAP, you're wasting time. Especially with a new update coming in, you know, moving up to 625, if you don't have your 600 piece, you're basically, you know, very, very far behind on the, you know, the catching up mechanic. So we covered the looting, the you know, looting bosses and chests. We talked about the PvP vendor. Now let's talk about the other way that you can get gear, and that is with war, OPR, invasions, etc. Anything that gives you one of these you know, loot crates up here, they will give you gear. If you open them up, you'll see they give you several pieces. Sometimes they give you 2, sometimes they give you 3, sometimes they give you 5. Anyways, with this gear, right, the gear that you get from the war, the OPRs, and the invasions, it's extra gear, but let's be real, you will probably do 100 wars and you will only probably get 1 legendary. Not saying that legendary is gonna be what you want. It might not even be what you want. The chances of you getting something that you want out of the war chest and out of the OPR chest, it's very, very slim, right? Plus, you spend in any of these given events anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, right? For a possible 3 to 5 pieces that you get out of those events. Now, that is not good at all. Why do I say that? Because in a 30-minute period, right, if you go watermark farming, you can get way more than just 3 to 5 pieces in 30 minutes. Shit, you get dozens, you get hundreds in one night if you go watermarking and you go do your pirates, your merc, your mines, whatever you want to do for elite farming. You know that you fill your entire inventory, and you have to break stuff because, well, you just don't have space in your inventory, and you're like, what do I do? I'm running out of space, and you have to break all of that. So watermark farming will give you not only a lot of gear, possibly the most amount of gear in the game, but it's also probably one of the most profitable ways to make gear. Why? It gives you money, you have chance of looting good stuff from the chest, and also you have a chance of getting something that somebody else might want that you can sell it, and make a good profit out of that. So I will say that the drops, and looting chests, it's the most profitable to make money, and it's the easiest and fastest way to get a shit ton of gear. Now that gear, like I said, is probably not gonna be good for you. It's just gonna be numbers. You're gonna either break them, you're gonna sell them out of the marketplace, sell it to the marketplace for a little income, or sell it to another player. That is the good thing about farming bosses, dungeons, chests, etc. And now I'm gonna talk about the last way that you can get gear in this game, and it's crafting. We all know how important crafting is in New World because, well, I mean, you can get the best gear both crafting and looting it from a boss, right? If you are looting it from a boss and the boss drops a specific piece of gear that you want, that is best for you, and you have to kill the boss 30 times, before it drops that piece of armor that you want, that's still profit because it's 100% guarantee, and as long as you farm that boss for that specific piece of gear, you can always get it there without wasting any money. All you're doing is, spending a little time. But that only works for a handful of pieces, right? I wish we could just go and farm all of the bosses and get all of your perfect gear, but that's never gonna happen because that's not how the game works, right? So crafting, we come into crafting and we have many things to craft. Everything that we loot, basically we can craft it. If you go to your dungeons and you want to craft your dungeon gear, you can craft your dungeon imitated gear. Like you have your shipyards, you have your Genesis, you have your Lazarus, so you can make exact copy of the gear that you can get in there, using your own materials. But we're not gonna go over this one. Why? Because this is outdated. This crafting way, completely outdated. Let's look at the new and hot way of crafting, which is with the timeless shard. And now here is where it becomes interesting and extremely cheap to do, right? So we cover that if you want to buy your full 520 gear from the PvP vendor over there, you will spend roughly 13,000 gold. If you want to farm it just by killing mobs and looting chests, you will spend hundreds, 6, 5, 800 hours trying to get your watermark to 590. And after you get your watermark to 590, you have to farm hundreds of hours more to get the pieces that you want. So out of the way with looting boss and chests, that's not gonna be the most efficient way to get your freshly level 60 gear that you just want to jump into the world. And that's where crafting comes in. With a new shard system of crafting, it's easier than ever now. Of course, you need a crafter person to make this for you. If you just get to 60, you're not gonna have 595 to 600 to craft it, but you will probably have a company. And if you don't have a company, people in old chat are offering their services all the time, and you probably even have to give them a minimal fee, or sometimes not even a fee at all if again they're from your company. But if you want to give be nice to them, you give them a little fee, and everybody's happy. But yeah, let's get that out of the way and let's jump into the numbers and the actual gear, right? So we were talking about the light gear, so we're gonna talk about the light gear here in in crafting. Now it requires a lot of materials for you to craft this gear over here. If I go to the Shadow Walker leggings, you see that it requires 12 phoenix weave and 4 runic leather and 2 osmodium. I'm like, man, but I just got to 60. I don't have any of these materials. First of all, I don't have any of my professions in 200. Therefore, if I go to my trade skills, I won't be able to refine any of my materials. Therefore, I won't be able to refine osmodium, runic leather, phoenix weave, etc. Well, fear not, because we have a marketplace, right? We have a marketplace where we can buy anything we want. And like I covered before, once you get to level 60, you will have a decent amount of gold. So let's see how much does it actually cost for you to make a full 595 to 600 gear score as soon as you get to 60. Given that you find that person that will craft it for you, right? Which is not that hard. Alright, so I don't have all of the shards on my inventory, but I have all of the information pulled out on the site. So I'm gonna start saying numbers and putting information here on the screen so you all see what I'm talking about. But for starters, we're gonna start with the Shade Walker's mask, which is the counterpart of this gear right here, right? For the mask, you're gonna need 12 phoenix weave, 4 runic leather, and 1 osmodium, right? For the chest, you're going to need 26 phoenix weave, 8 runic leathers, and 1 osmodium. For the hand wraps, which is your gloves, you're gonna need 6 phoenix weave, 2 runic leather, and 1 osmodium. For the legs, 12 phoenix weave, 4 runic leather, 1 osmodium. And for the shoes, you're gonna need 6 phoenix weave, 2 runic leather, and 1 osmodium. Now, if you add all of those numbers up, right, you're gonna need roughly 62. Well, not roughly, exact. You're gonna need an exact 62 phoenix weave. Alright, if we go here to the marketplace, right, and we type phoenix weave, right, and let's check the prices so everything is on the same page. So let's say you need a total of 62. Let's say that they're worth 80 gold, right? And you can put pre-buy orders, buy orders, and you can get them cheaper than that. So if we do some quick math, right, and we do, let's see, 62 is what you need, right? 62 times 80, that comes down to 4.9k. Let's say 5k gold, right? So out of the phoenix weave, you're spending 5k gold. Then we're gonna go to the runic leathers. You're gonna need 18 runic leathers. If we go to runic leathers, all right, runic leather is gonna be 150 each. You only need 18 of them. So 18 times, let's say 155, right? Because taxes and whatnot. It comes down to 2,700. Well, 2,790. Let's say that is 2.8 thousand, right? Let's put that on the side and let's keep on adding, right? And you also need 5 osmodiums. The osmodiums they're not that expensive. They're around 380. These are the most expensive one, but let's say that 390 times 5 osmodium, that's gonna come down to, let's say, 2,000 gold. It's 1,950, but let's say that is 2,000 gold, right? So that is all of the materials that you need for the set. Now, you also need other things that you're gonna need for the sets, and that is something that I haven't covered. Well, I said it, but I haven't covered it. And these are the shards, right? If we go here, gear score, and we put at the highest gear score, you're gonna see this chart here, right? The timeless chart. Now, they have different prices for different types of gear, right? As you can see, the heavy legs here, they're 289. But let's go to the timeless. It's not how you spell timeless. If you go to the timeless, for example, robe, right? Here, timeless robe. This is for the light robe to 100% get your attribute working. So this is only 80 gold. I'm not gonna go over every single one of them, but I more or less have the price of what each and one of these cost. And for the helmet, it's gonna be 300 gold for the shard, right? For the helmet, it's gonna be 300 gold. For the chest, it's gonna be, I don't know. Again, we had cheaper prices here. So yeah, 42 for the chest. Then we have about 2,000 for the gloves. Then we have 100 gold for the legs, and about 1,000 for the shoes. And so you know, that's a couple thousands right there that you spend. And also, if you want to put the perks in this gear, which you obviously want to put the perk, and let's say that you want to get your PvP gear running, right? Because that's the only thing we talked about. We talked about your PvP faction vendor. It sells that gear with Resilient, which if you're a PvPer, especially a frontliner, you will want Resilient, right? So if we go here and we're gonna buy the Resilient perks, they are called Chunk of here you go, Chunk of Concentrated Iron, and they are 230 gold, which it comes down to what, 1,200 gold. And the last thing that you're gonna need for this gear is going to be your craft mods, right? You're gonna come to your craft mods, you're gonna go to your attribute items, and here you will put whatever attribute you want on the gear, right? If you want to go full focus, if you want to go full intelligence, full strength, whatever you want to go. If you don't have these by now, which you probably have because you've been looting a bunch of chests throughout the game, and you get this from the crates, the chests, etc. You might have a couple of these in your inventory, and you probably don't even know. So you're gonna need 10 of each and one of these, depending. You know, they're gonna have different prices in your server. For example, if you want to build a full set of Constitution Intelligence, you're gonna need 50 of these, right? And again, this depends on what you want your gear to have. This is just the attribute. You can always play with the attributes because, you know, as you level up, you put points in your attributes, etc. So after you buy all of the materials that you need, and after you buy the perk, you also gonna need 10 of the attributes, you know, modifiers per piece. Like if I go here and I go to craft a piece of armor, let me show you real quick. If I come here and I wanted to craft, for example, this dexterity, right? The dexterity shoes, you see that it's gonna ask for 10 rough leather beaded, you know, straps. And if you go to another one, for example, this one right here, this one requires the strength one, so it's gonna ask you for 10 of the strength one. So after you figured out which attribute you want in your gear, and after you gather all of the resources, the materials that you need, right? And after you bought the shard out of the marketplace, and after you bought the perk out of the marketplace, the very last thing that you're gonna need is 45 ASOF or 30 ASOF. You know, either or, it's not that much of ASOF. Let's not put that into, you know, into money wise, because the crafter, if the crafter doesn't have enough ASOF, you can always give him, like, I don't know, 4 bottles of ASOF. That's like, I don't know, 50 gold. But you know, let's not add that one up. Or sure, you know what, let's add it, extra money. So after you craft your whole set of light gear, right? Light Shadewalker. In this case, it says that because I don't have the food buff on, my house is not here in Windsor, etc., etc. But it should be from 595 to 600. That is big. That is a big jump from 590, from 520, correct? And you always have a chance of getting a legendary because the crafter, you know, they always have a chance of getting a legendary. And if it is a beast piece, oh man, are you in luck? Because that's it. You got the attribute that you wanted. You got the perk that you wanted, and now it's legendary, so you might get another thing that you want. With this, you only roll 1 perk and the attribute, right? You're not running 2 perks, so 1 perk will always be random. And that is where the big money can come in. If you get a good perk, you can either equip it, and that's it, you don't have to worry about that anymore, or you could always sell this piece of armor. And and have some, you know, some good income if you didn't like what you rolled. And then check it out. After you add all of this up and you have your full 595 to 600 gear, that only gonna cost you anywhere between 15,000 to 17, 18,000. Now, that is a little much than the 13,000 from the 520 PvP gear, but it's freaking 595 to 600. The amount of attributes and the amount of perk power that you get from this gear compared to the 520 for just, you know, a couple extra thousand more, it is so big. It's like day and night. If you fight somebody that is 520 compared to somebody that is 595 with, you know, their whole gear crafted with resilient, man, it's a whole different player, right? So if you just got to 60, don't buy the PvP gear, don't buy the Voidbent. Oh, Voidbent! We haven't gone over Voidbent, shall we? Well, let's do it right now. Let's go over Voidbent. So Voidbent, everybody loves Voidbent, right? Because it's 600 gear score, and he has that 2.8 lock. He has the resilient, and he has the other freaking thing that he has. What is it? Invigorated. Weakens and disease exhaust and rents expire 7.5%. And as I explained on my previous video, these things, weakens, disease, exhaust, and rend, they don't impact you that much, right? Like, this game works either you get killed in the first 5 seconds or you don't get killed at all. You know, you run away. And if you have any rend, exhaust, or, you know, or diseases on top of you, they're just gonna expire. First of all, none of them last very long. Second of all, they're gonna expire rather quick. And they're not gonna expire in less than 5 seconds if you're getting, you know, hit by a bunch of people. So Invigorated, in my opinion, is not that great of a perk. It's okay, but not the best, right? So if you want to have Voidbent, there's only literally maybe 2 reasons why you want to go Voidbent, right? You could say, oh, he has luck, and, you know, 2.8 luck on a 600 gear score, legendary right there. Now, why wouldn't you take it, right? Well, it's fucking expensive to make. It's super expensive to make Voidbent. So let's say that you're like, okay, I want the luck, and he has the resilient. Boom, I love that from Voidbent. But you can get that, you know, you can get that from crafting your gear without having Voidbent. If you want your, you know, your luck pants, all you have to do is put the chunk of concentrated chunk of Adderstone right here. Boom, you get the luck, and then or if you want resilient PvP, then boom, you pick resilient. Because here's the thing, you cannot have luck gear, which is PvE gear, and PvP gear be the same gear. Eventually you want to get away from that. Why? Because luck and PvP gear, they are 2 different. You wouldn't want to have your luck gear when you're fighting somebody, you know, in a duel, because you don't have your weapon perks, you don't have the right attributes in case, unless you have a super perfect luck gear, which if you get to 600, you should start, you know, you should start working on your perfect luck gear. But let's say that you just want the Voidbent because it gives you that crazy luck, right? Oh shit, luck. All right, let's do it. Let's see how much Voidbent it's worth on the marketplace. So we covered that the 520 PvP vendor, it's roughly 13,000 gold. Then we covered that the crafter gear, it's roughly 14 to 18,000 gold. And then let's check Voidbent, right? If we type here Voidbent and we look, sure, let's look at the boots first. Look at the boots price. Do you think that price make any sense for just 1 piece of armor? That it's, first of all, if you want your light Voidbent armor, you stuck to strength. If you want your medium Voidbent armor, you stuck to dexterity. And if you want your heavy Void armor, you stuck to constitution. So even if you wanted to make a creative build, Voidbent wouldn't let you do that, because Voidbent has set perks and set attributes. And you're like, oh, but that's good. You know, he has luck, and he has, I don't know, freaking resilient, and he has dexterity. Unless you only want resilient for PvP, then sure. you can go ahead and spend 100,000 or 50 or 40 or however much the full set of Voidbent cost, and you can go ahead and buy it and waste your money. If you're gonna do PvP, craft your PvP gear. If you're going to do PvE, craft your PvE gear. Don't try to have a gear that it will work for both scenarios, because it will take you forever to get that gear, and it most likely won't be as effective as, you know, a PvP gear for PvP. So if we look at the boots here, they're 15,000, right? And then let's look at another piece. Let's go to the breastplates. 17,000. What are we at now? 32,000 already, right? Let's check another piece. How about the gauntlets, right? 12,000. So what are we at now? 44,000, and you're not even full set. You only 3 pieces into this set, and you have already spent 20,000 gold more than you would have if you would have crafted the gear, right? So, by the looks of this, if you buy your full Voidbent set, it'll be more than 50 to 60,000 gold, right? And that is only Voidbent. That is just one set of gear that, I mean, you sure you will use it a bunch of times, and you're like, hey, Trictic, but Voidbent has, you know, it could potentially have a more magic resistance than other gear. Well, that's not even a reason, because you can get different types of gear. You know, if you go here, right, and you look at the fur gear, right? If we look at these boots, you see that these boots, they give you more elemental resistance than physical resistance, right? That basically right there, it's the same thing that Voidbent Heavy do. They have more elemental and less physical, right? If you look at the next Beast Hunter, they have this, you know, the same physical and same elemental. And if you look at others, they're gonna have more physical and less elemental. So there's a choice for you out there, whatever you want to do. If you want to have less physical and more elemental, boom, you can come and craft it. If you want whatever attribute that you want, boom, you come and craft it here. If you want a specific perk, boom, you come and craft it. And you're gonna craft all of that, like I said, for less than 20,000 gold. With that being said, you could craft your whole PvP gear, right, with Resilient, and then you can go ahead and craft you full-on PvE set with luck and all of that. You have your full 595 to 600 PvP set ready to go into wars or OPRs or open world, whatever you want to do. Or you could have your full 2.8 luck with, you know, you add the pristine pearl on top of that and it will be 3.3. You can have your full-on PvP set and your full-on PvE set for less than 35,000 gold. If you do it this way. If you want to go and buy the Voidbent full set, it's a mediocre gear at best. It's not good for PvP and it's not the best for PvE, right? And you're spending so much money trying to craft or make or buy that Voidbent, right? If you're gonna go and buy the 520, I already told you, 520, it's 13,000 gold, but the biggest drawback is that it's just 520, you know? Oh, that's a weapon. It's just 520. You're missing out on so many attributes, and you're missing out on so many perks power. You know, you're missing out on potentially 20 to 25 attributes, and you're missing out in a lot of, 1 to 2% of those things on there, either refreshing, resilient, or luck, whatever you want. So I think that's it. That covers it all. If you just got to 60 and you don't know what gear to put on, because like I said, you probably don't have much experience about the game, you could either go buy your gear from the vendor, you could either go and farm gear from bosses and chest, or you could go to wars, invasions, and OPRs, and you're gonna get gear doing those things. Or you could buy it off of the marketplace, or you could craft it and get yourself something that is gonna be useful for the for the time being for less than 30,000, ladies and gentlemen. For less than 35,000, you will craft your full-on PvP set, 595, and your full-on PvE set, 595. Just like me over here. I crafted, well, some of these I crafted them before, some of them I crafted them now. And for example, for my helmet, I only wanted the empowering firebolt. The resilient came in, you know, as a second. And over here, I have my full crafted, you know, log gear, now the Voidbent. And all of that, it comes down to way less than the Voidbent armor that everybody out there is either selling or making. So in other words, please find yourself somebody that can craft the gear for you. Craft that gear as soon as possible, and then you can go from there. After you have that gear, you can start, you know, farming elites, getting that watermark. Shit, you can even go to dungeons and not having to worry that you don't have the right gear, and you can jump right into those PvP, those OPR, and you will have a decent gear that it's not the 520 and it didn't cost you 70,000 gold to make. With that being said, thanks everybody for watching, and it's been a pleasure. Also, by the way, the guide that I made for mages, it has gotten you know, I think it's 1,000 views. Guys and girls, I never imagined that one of my videos will even get 1,000 views. So that is what is pushing me, you know, forward to keep on making these educational videos and some of the videos that I'm still working on. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for everybody that's watching and spending some time with me. And yeah, bye bye everybody, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thank you, and cheers. Bye bye.